Hi and welcome everyone to another video. My name is Denis and today I'm going to show you a wildcard draft for Game Week 8 of Fantasy Premier League. But now let's just move and see the team. Okay guys, so as I said before, today I'm going to show you a wildcard draft for Game Week 8. We're going to discuss about everything you need to know ahead of Game Week 8. If you're going to use your wildcard, we're going to discuss about pros and cons and we're going to discuss about permutations. So don't worry if you see this team on the screen. We're going to talk about different players. Now, at the moment, this is how I would use my wildcard if I was using it in Game Week 8. I have 0.5 millions in the bank and we're going to discuss about different things. Now, obviously, it really depends also on your budget because, for an example, as you can see on the screen, I've gone with a double up with Raya and Gabriel from Arsenal. You can make some changes there, right? If you want to, you can go for someone like Timber, you can go for Calafiori, you can go for a different goalkeeper, and that's totally viable. But at the moment, if you have the money, if you got some price rises for Raya and Gabriel, I still think that this is the most solid double up. Now, again, we're going to discuss also about other defenders and about other options from Arsenal because there is a little bit of a discussion to be had there. Obviously, maybe I was a little bit wrong about Timber, about Calafiori's minutes in the first 7 game weeks of the season, sorry. So yeah, but still I think that if you want to go super safe, this is how I would go with Raya and Gabriel. Now, if we move a little bit down so you can see the whole wildcard team, again, as I said before, with Arsenal, I don't think that there is any questions. For me personally, I would go with a double up in defense on a wildcard. I think that they are the best defense in the Premier League. They show that obviously their statistics are great when it comes to defending, so I would go for 2 defenders from Arsenal. Now, what you can do here obviously is to go for someone like Timber alongside Gabriel and to have someone like Pope in goal when how a lot of people are going at the moment. But again, as I said before, Gabriel would be a must on the wildcard. Then if you want to go for Raya, if you want to go for Timber, that's perfectly fine. I think that if Timber is going to get obviously good minutes, then probably he's going to be the better pick, right? Raya is mostly going to get you 6 points. He's not going to make a lot of saves, but yeah, he's a safe keeper. So again, I still think that there is a little bit of a risk of rotation with Timber, but at the moment his minutes are looking good because he's rested in the Champions League, probably is going to be rested in the Cup. Arsenal definitely are going to prioritize the Premier League, and at the moment Calafiori, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel are looking like the first choices in defense. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the other defenders, then we're going to come back again to see what can you do if you switch them a little bit. Munoz, again, maybe a little bit knee-jerk because he just scored in the in Game Week 7, but he just reminded us how good of an FPL asset he is. He's getting a lot of amazing positions. Also against Liverpool had some chances to score. So the thing with Munoz is that he's getting in those positions. Now everybody's going crazy with defensive contributions players, but again, Munoz also got defensive contributions in Game Week 7, and more than that, he has a lot of chances to score goals, to get assists. Crystal Palace are great defensively. Now, they conceded 2 goals against Everton, but to be honest with you, they were great in the first half. In the second half, not so much. Now, yeah, playing in Europe might have an effect on that, but Munoz is pretty much nailed. He's going to start every game. This guy is a machine. So again, I'm not worried about Munoz. Definitely, if you want to go for other defender from Crystal Palace, I think that pretty much all of them are great, despite Mitchell. So you could go for Guehi, you could go for Richards, or you could go for Lacroix. All decent for defensive contributions, but at the moment, if I was wildcarding in Game Week 8, to be honest with you, I would just pick Munoz, and yeah, pretty much that's it. Now, if we look a little bit at the fixtures for the easiest overall fixtures from Game Week 8 to Game Week 13, so 6 fixtures. The games for Crystal Palace are Bournemouth starting in Game Week 8, then Arsenal, not amazing in Game Week 9, but after that Brentford, Brighton, Wolverhampton and Manchester United. So the fixtures are decent for Crystal Palace, so that's why I think that I would like to have definitely a defender from them, and definitely another one player like you see on the screen. My next starting defender is Dan Burn from Newcastle, 5.1 millions. Again, he's not amazing for defensive contributions, but Newcastle, I just think that they were a defense who were a little bit overlooked by everybody, including myself. So yeah, they got a lot of clean sheets. They are looking really solid at the back at the moment, and Burn is a nice option at the back. If we just move again to see the fixtures for Newcastle are decent for a long period of time. So starting with Brighton, Fulham, West Ham, Brentford away, Manchester City not amazing, and then Everton. So the fixtures are great. I just think that if you're wildcarding in game week 8, you should have some players from Newcastle. Now again, we're going to talk a little bit about Newcastle because the options are a little bit tricky. As I said at the beginning, you could go instead of Burn to someone like Pope in goal and then have Timber or another defender instead of him. But again, Burn at 5.1 millions, I think that he's decent value. He's decent for defensive contributions. He's not a monster like Senesi or someone like that. He has a little bit of an attacking threat. We know that he's really big, obviously. So he's really decent for from set pieces. So he could usually get you the odd goal or something like that. So again, moving to my other defenders, Senesi and Alderete, I don't really need to discuss too much about Senesi. He's the best defender in the game for defensive contributions. He's 4.9 millions at the moment, but I still think that I would go for him because if we look at the fixtures for him, they are not great at the moment short term. Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Manchester City, Aston Villa, but from game week 12 onwards the fixtures are going to be even better. West Ham, Sunderland, Everton, and the fixtures goes on. So again, I think that you should have him into your team. As you can see from the screen, you can even bench him in game week 8 against Crystal Palace. So I don't think that's a great fixture for Bournemouth, but the main thing is that you want Senesi long term, so I think that you should have him into your team even at that price of 4.9 millions. I think that he's great value. And yeah, Alderete again 4.1 millions. Probably you're not going for him, right? If you go on a wildcard, probably you just pick another 4 million defender. But yeah, I had Alderete from game week 6, so I think that is just a decent option. Again, you could upgrade this place to someone like Anderson if you want. I know that a lot of people are not really liking Anderson. Personally, I think that he's a great option. Now, if we look here for the fixtures, short term, again, not amazing for Anderson, Arsenal, Newcastle, but from game week 10 onwards, Wolves, Everton, Sunderland, and yeah, Spurs, Man City, not great, but after that the fixtures are going to be decent. And for a fifth defender on your bench, I think that he's a decent option, also really good for defensive contributions. But again, if you don't want to spend that budget, that's perfectly fine. You just go for someone like Mukiele probably. And yeah, you could even play him this game week if you want. If we move here, let me just show you, let's talk a little bit about other defenders, right? So you have Gabriel, Timber, Cucurella. You have a Chelsea defender if you want, but again, I would not go there because of the risk of rotation. I just don't think that anyone from Chelsea is nailed. Yeah, Cucurella is a great option who probably is going to play most games, but even he could be rotated at some point. The same could go for Chalobah. Probably is going to be decent. Probably he's going to play after his suspension, but I would just don't take that risk on a wildcard, to be honest with you. We discussed about the other defenders from Crystal Palace, so Munoz, Richards, Lacroix, Virgil van Dijk. Again, at the moment on a wildcard, are you including a Liverpool defender? Yeah, I'm not so sure. I would not, to be honest with you. From game week 12, the fixtures are going to be really good from Liverpool, but again, until that, Man United, Brentford, Aston Villa, Man City, Nottingham Forest. And don't get me wrong, the fixtures are decent for Liverpool. These fixtures are not horrible or something like that. If you take out that fixture against Manchester City, this is a great run from Liverpool. But at the moment, they are just not convincing in defense, in attack also. So it's really tough for me to argue to put someone like Virgil van Dijk at 6.1 millions into your team when you can have someone like Calafiori at 5.7 millions with better fixtures, playing in the better defense. So yeah, I think that definitely Calafiori, Saliba are decent options, but if you want to go for another outfield defender alongside Gabriel, I think that it would be Timber for me at the moment. Gvardiol, again, a really good game for him in game week 7. The fixtures are decent still: Everton, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle, Leeds. But again, 5.8 millions, maybe he's a little bit overlooked. I think that he's a decent option, and definitely if you want to pick a defender from Manchester City, I think that he's the most safe one, but even he could be rotated at some point, and he's not great for defensive contributions. He's not amazing. His attacking threat is not amazing if he's going to play as a center half, but as a center back, but yeah, it is what it is. Guehi, James, Mitchell, yeah, Mukiele, defenders from Chelsea. Tarkovsky, again, I would not go for Tarkovsky in a wildcard. To be honest with you, I didn't understand the hype for Tarkovsky in the first place in Game Week 6, but yeah, he's decent for defensive contributions, but I just think that there are better defender elsewhere. I would not go for defenders from Spurs at the moment. The fixtures are getting bad. Aston Villa, Everton, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, and Fulham. Another interesting one on the wildcard could be someone like Diouf from West Ham, because he's really cheap, 4.4 millions. If you're looking for an attacking defender, he could be decent for the next 4 fixtures at least, for West Ham, Brentford, Leeds, Newcastle not great, and Burnley in Game Week 11. So yeah, pretty much this is it. What I would do to change is have someone like Timber instead of Burn, and Pope instead of Raya, if you want to save up some cash, if you think that's the better combination, and obviously if you can assume that risk. Because for an example, for me, again, maybe I'm overthinking it a little bit, but I just really like to be safe. This is the kind of manager I am. So at the moment I have Ryan and Gabriel. I just know they're going to play every game if they're going to be fit. But yeah, if we move a little bit to midfield, this part is a little bit more easier. Semenyo, again, the fixtures are not amazing short term. Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, and Manchester City in the next 3 is not something amazing, but he's just a great option at the moment. He's on penalties when Kluivert is not on the pitch. He's 7.9 millions, I think. So yeah, I still think that he's decent value. Now, obviously, if his price is still going to go up and up, then obviously he's not going to be worth the price. But again, at the moment, he's just a no-brainer on any wildcard. I would have him. The fixtures for Bournemouth are going to get better after Game Week 12 anyway. So Palace, Forest, City, Aston Villa in the next 4 is not amazing, but Semenyo is going to play 90 minutes every game week. On penalties, are reliable, so I just don't see any reason to go without him. And from Game Week 12 you have also better fixtures for Bournemouth, so yeah, you could even look for a triple up for Bournemouth if you want to do that. Now, Sar, Saka, Enzo, and Gordon, I would go for a triple up from Arsenal, definitely. And as I said before, I would go double up defense. And at the moment, I would go for Bukayo Saka. Now, if you ask me in Game Week 6, I would have said just go for Gyökeres. Now, obviously, Saka is back. His minutes are looking better. It is really important to have a lot of information. So again, maybe wildcard in Game Week 8 is going to be really helpful for you in terms of that, because now you have other options like we had in Game Week 6, for an example. So I would not go for Gyökeres now. Not to say that Gyökeres is a bad pick or something like that. If you have Gyökeres, I have him into my team. I'm just going to keep him for the fixtures. The fixtures are good, as I said before. But right now, I would go for Bukayo Saka. He took the last penalty, so let's assume Bukayo Saka is going to be on penalties, but the real truth is that we're never going to be sure, because obviously he took that penalty, but there is a lot of talk between Saka and Gyökeres. Saka shared the penalties in the past. Now, obviously, I would assume that Saka is going to be the main penalty taker for Arsenal, but what happens if Gyökeres takes the next one? Then we're going to be at the start again. So yeah, I think that Gyökeres is still going to take penalties for Arsenal, but let's assume mostly Bukayo Saka is going to take, I don't know, 70% of them. So I would go for Bukayo Saka. He looked great. Gyökeres didn't look amazing, so pretty much this is my reasoning. The fixtures are decent. His minutes are not going to be... I mean, his minutes probably are going to be managed still at some point, but he could be rested in the Champions League, he could be rested in some cups, and he's going to play close to 80, 90 minutes, and that's enough for Bukayo Saka. Now, another 2 players who are going to be locked in if I was wildcarding Game Week 8 are Ismail Assar and Enzo Fernandez. There are other options, definitely, still, if you want to go there, but with Ismail Assar, as I said with Munoz, the fixtures are going to be really good for Crystal Palace. Bournemouth, Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton, Wolverhampton, Manchester United, Burnley. And also what I really like about him is that he's a great option at that price, 6.5 millions. I wish I have him into my team. Obviously, his data is amazing. He should have got more attacking returns against Everton in Game Week 7. He also should have got an assist, a goal. But yeah, he's playing amazing at the moment. Crystal Palace are definitely a team who I really enjoy watching. They are great. They have they had a lot of chances in the first half against Everton. Definitely, they should have won that game. So, yeah, with Sarr, the fixtures are not great in the next two, Bournemouth and Arsenal, but I would 100% have him on a wild card. His underlying statistics are great, and yeah, maybe he's a little bit annoying at some point. If you remember, guys, in the last part of last season, he missed a lot of chances, but he's getting a lot of chances. So that's why I really like Ismail Assar. Definitely he would be on my wildcard. Enzo Fernandez, now he's more depending on the Palmer situation than someone like Ismail Assar. Now at the moment Palmer is nowhere near looking like he's going to make a return for Chelsea. Now why I'm saying that is because obviously Enzo Fernandez, if Palmer is not going to be on the pitch, he's going to play as a number 10 and he's just an amazing option in FPL. He's also on some set pieces, he could be also on penalties. He's getting in good positions even against Liverpool. He hit the crossbar, he had some chances, he is getting in a lot of good positions to score. That's what I really like about Enzo Fernandez. Now even if Palmer is going to be back at some point, I think that Enzo Fernandez is still a decent option, but definitely I would like to have him in that number 10 role. So yeah, let's see, watch for the news. Let's see when Palmer is going to be back. Let's see if he's going to need some surgery or something like that. But at the moment, Enzo Fernandez, if Palmer is going to be out, he's also a lock into my team. The fixtures are also really good for Chelsea. If we take a look at them, Nottingham Forest, Sunderland, Spurs, Wolverhampton and Burnley, and also Leeds in Game Week 14. So again, I would have definitely him. Now with Gordon, he's not a lock in my team. His minutes are not amazing, let's say. He's not playing 90 minutes every game. So even though he's going to be on penalties, in the last game he was subbed off and Voldemort took a penalty because he was not on the pitch. So it doesn't really matter if you're on penalties if you're not going to be on the pitch to take them. So definitely I think that it's not going to be every game week when Gordon is going to be subbed off, but I think that there is a little bit of a risk there, and he's still a great option even if he's not going to play 90 minutes. And the fixtures are really good for Newcastle. That's why I feel I want to include an attacker from Newcastle, and it's Gordon or Voldemar for me as a striker. And we're going to talk also about strikers. The options there are more limited. That's why I have Gordon at the moment. So yeah, they have a lot of competition. They have Barnes, they have Elanga, they have Murphy. They have a lot of players who can play in that spot. His minutes are not going to be amazing. If you can take that risk, I think that he could be a great option. Now, if we move here to see some other midfielders, obviously what you're missing, Mohamed Salah. Again, at some point I think that he's going to become again a really good FPL option, but at the moment really you're not thinking about Mohamed Salah. But yeah, the fixtures, Man United at home is one of the best fixture to get a rebound. So yeah, Brentford, Aston Villa, Man City, Forest, West Ham. As I said, for Virgil van Dijk, the fixtures are not bad from Liverpool. And from Game Week 12 onwards, we should look to have a plan to get some players from Liverpool back in. Bruno Fernandes, again, you're not buying him on a wild card, especially against Liverpool away in Game Week 8. Foden, a little bit disappointing for those who gone for him in Game Week 6 or 7. The fixtures are still there, he's still getting minutes, but I don't know, I would just not go for Foden for that price, 8.1 millions. Palmer, we need to see when he's going to be fit. Unjae is still a decent option, but you're not going to have him on a wild card against Manchester City away in Game Week 8. So yeah, Szoboszlai, definitely not a player I would have on a wildcard. Kudus is another interesting one. I have him in my own team. I think that he's great. But I need to be honest here, the fixtures are not going to be amazing for Spurs. Aston Villa, Everton, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal and Fulham. But to be honest with you, if you're forced to play Kudus in any of those fixtures, you're not going to feel that bad. So yeah, at that price, 6.7 millions, I still think that he's a decent option, but I just find it difficult to include him on a wildcard. Gakpo, again, he's getting the minutes, but I would just avoid Gakpo at the moment because of Ekitike, because of Isak, because of the risk of rotation. Minte is another player who I would have on my wildcard if I was not going for Gordon. The fixtures long term from Brighton are pretty decent, and he's getting really good minutes. And at that price, 6 millions, is just great value. And then there are the cheap midfielders, obviously Reinders, Caicedo, Dewsbury Hall. You could go for them, but I just didn't go on for a cheap midfielder because I don't want to upgrade the spot in attack. Eze, again, if you're not going for Bukayo Saka, I think that Eze is a good option just because Odegaard is going to be out for 1 or 2 months, something like that. So his minutes are going to be more secured now. So yeah, Eze, nice differential. Other than that, yeah, there are the cheap midfielders, Anderson, Paqueta, Caicedo, this kind of player, and also someone like Anthony from Burnley if you want to take a punt. Now, as you can see on the screen, maybe you're asking why I have someone like Mark Guyu into my team. Again, it really depends. If you use your bench boost, I think that's a great option if you just want to downgrade one of your spots, and this is the best spot to downgrade to a 4.3 million forward to spread the cash elsewhere. But obviously, if you're still planning to use your bench boost, then you're not going to have Mark Guyu into your team. Again, what you can do is to downgrade someone like Gordon, upgrade someone like Mark Guyu to a Calvert-Lewin, to someone like Evan Nilsson, to someone like Bowen if you want. But yeah, if you use your bench boost, I think that this is also a way to go. Now, if we move to the forwards, I don't need to discuss too much about that. About this, Haaland is going to be on any wildcard draft. At the moment, he's just a machine. He's a joke of a player. So again, it is really tough to have both Haaland and Mohamed Salah, and I just think that not a lot of people want to have Mohamed Salah also into their team. So for me at the moment, there is no question. If you want to go pick one of those, you just go for Haaland, who probably is still going to be your captain in Game Week 8. And then I have João Pedro and Marc Guiu. Now, what's not great with this draft is that I have 3 players from Chelsea. So for an example, if Palmer is going to be back at some point and you want him for Sunderland in Game Week 9 or something like that, you're going to need to sell one of your Chelsea players, and probably needs to be Enzo Fernandez. But yeah, that's fine, obviously, if you're okay with that. So yeah, you have 3 players from Chelsea. That's going to block from buying any. But at the moment, to be honest with you, Enzo and João Pedro probably for me are the best players to own from Chelsea. Now, João Pedro, a player who a lot of people are selling at the moment, I think. I just don't get it. I would have him probably on a wildcard. Now, there are other options. Don't get me wrong. If you want to go a little bit different, that's perfectly fine. But the fixtures, as I said before, are just great for Chelsea. And for João Pedro, he could be on penalties. There is that chance of him being on penalties. I know that he was really bad in the last game weeks. He got 2 or 3 shots in the last 3 or 4 games he played. But I think that the fixtures are also going to be better and are going to help him with his form, and he's a number 9 playing for Chelsea. I don't think that this is the best position for João Pedro. I think that he plays better as a number 10, but he's going to get chances, and pretty much the fixtures are just going to help him do that. Now, if we move to see other strikers at the moment, the options are limited from my point of view. The strikers I would consider, to be honest with you, instead of João Pedro would be probably Mateta. But again, with Europe, with him not being a 90-minute man, he's on penalties, which is great. The fixtures are decent, but he's not playing 90 minutes. He's playing 60 to 70 minutes, something like that. So that would put me off a little bit. So the only real option for me, instead of João Pedro, would be Jared Bowen. The fixtures are great for the next 4 game weeks: Brentford, Leeds, Newcastle, Burnley. But after that are going to get a little bit tougher. So again, it really depends how different you want to go. I think that Bowen is a nice option in the next 4, maybe even better than someone like João Pedro. But if you're looking at the future, yeah, it really depends how much money you have also tied in into João Pedro. And then if we look here, let's put all the strikers. Gyökeres, again, I would not go for him. Obviously, you can go for another Arsenal attacker. Isak is an interesting one because you could go there. Manchester United home is not a bad fixture. He's going to be probably better from Game Week 8 onwards, like Arne Slot said. So he was fighting with the fitness, obviously, in the first game weeks for Liverpool. Now he's going to be back in form at some point. Man United, Brentford are not bad fixtures. If you want to go a little bit different, if you want to go a little bit, early on Alexander Isak, that could work out, I think, because from game week 12 onwards, I think that a lot of people are going to be interested in Alexander Isak when Salah also is going to go for African Cup of Nations. But for me at the moment, I just think that I would not go for him on a game week 8 wildcard. But yeah, it could be a nice differential. You're not going to go for Watkins, you're not going to go for Raul Jimenez. You're not going to go for Ekitike, right? Thiago, again, he's okay as a 6.1 million striker. He's decent. The fixtures are just not there. The same for Wood, the same for Sesko. Evan Nilsson, another decent one, but he's just not putting enough good numbers. He's just not scoring enough goals. But yeah, definitely he could be a decent option. And Strand Larsen, yeah, the good fixtures are over soon. Sunderland, Burnley in the next two, amazing. But after that, Fulham, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, not great. And yeah, besides Bowen, the only striker I would consider would be Voldemar. Now, again, when Wisa is going to be back, definitely his minutes are not going to be that good. He's not on penalties when Gordon is on the pitch. I think that we can assume that, but yeah, I think that he's a decent option. The problem is you can go here if you want. For an example, let's say you go for 3 strikers. Then you have 5 millions to... Okay, so actually I can do that with my actual budget. I can have someone like Dewsbury Hall and then just have someone like Voldemar. So if you prefer him instead of someone like Gordon, that's perfectly fine. But then you're going to have Dewsbury Hall on the bench, which I think that he's still a decent option at that price, to be honest with you. 5 million. So now what you can do, you can go for someone like Pope instead of Raya and someone like Timber instead of Danburn, but actually that's really more expensive as a combo for me, at least. Though again, for you it might be a little bit different. Now again, Semenyo, Sarr, Saka, Enzo, I think that this would be pretty much my 4 midfielders on a wildcard. Then João Pedro, Voldemar, Bowen. So yeah, this was my wildcard for game week 8 of Fantasy Premier League. Please let me know down in the comments down below if you're using the chip, and also what would you change with this. Thanks a lot for watching this video this long. It really means a lot and I really appreciate it. Also consider leaving a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye. Bag pura lor, când mă întreabă oamenii de unde sunt le zic de va. Apoi îmi bag